Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. Here we are. Where are we? I'm a little bit lost and forgetful, even though it's only been 2 days. Oh, we're in a snowy biome. The sun rises in the east, and we are going to continue west in episode 389 of Far Lands or Bust on today, Friday, August 8th, 2014. 24... Wolfie, the magical disappearing dog. Well done, guy. Well done. But yeah, we're continuing on here. 389 episodes. Crazy. Just 11 more episodes until 400 episodes. For those of you who are incapable at doing simple mathematics, I suppose. But yeah, pretty crazy. Other simple mathematics, however, are that we're still raising money for Child's Play charity over at farlandsorbust.com. However, the number has not moved since Wednesday. We're still at $8,565.55. Careful, Wolfie! Those leaves are a little bit prickly. Well, these are, I suppose, evergreen trees. They are a little bit prickly and pointy and ouchy. But yeah, we're still at $8,565.55 for the Child's Play charity. I think I'll perhaps have to go over there and change that momentarily after I record this episode, so I suppose the number might change. But yeah, you can keep donating at farlandsorbust.com to Child's Play charity. Leave a comment with a question, and I will... Why do I have a feather? And I will try to... answer that in a future episode of Far Lands or Bust, particularly in a Friday episode of Far Lands or Bust. It's become known as Fan Friday-ish sort of thing. I feel like that's used too much on YouTube. Everybody, gaming and non-gaming channel, has some sort of Fan Friday, and it's a thing that I do not wish to fall into the same trope, the same cliche, if you will. But I will. Oh, I just picked up a Arbor Day. So yeah, we're gonna do that, but I have some follow-ups. Is this like the first time we've ever had like follow-ups to previous episodes? But first of all, I mentioned a few episodes ago about the whole fiasco over Codemasters releasing a game called Colin McRae Rally with all the marketing trappings saying it was a reboot, a remastering, an HD remastering of the original Colin McRae Rally 2.0, the PC and PlayStation game out from early 2000s, when it turned out it was just a port of their mobile game, Colin McRae Rally. A big hubbub, and I actually went back, since I am on their PR list, I got the press release. That is what PR stands for. Well, yeah. Public relations, but also press release if you want to. But yeah, I look back at the press release and nothing about the official press release. Even the press release was misleading and made it seem like it was Colin McRae 2.0. They even said in the press release, oh, the classic, relive the classic PlayStation PC gaming experience, or something along that line. So even their official press release package was their package was misleading. I was misled by their package, and yeah, they've actually gone back now with all the media attention, negative backlash, all the thumbs down, negative reviews on Steam. They've gone back and made a post and said that they are going to be able to offer refunds, which is a rare thing indeed with Steam and Valve. But they will be offering refunds of Colin McRae Rally until August 19th, so if you purchased that game and you were misled, you can get a refund using the instructions on the, they made a little forum post on Steam. I guess I'll try to remember to post it in the video description below. But that's good news, but again, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. The misleading trailer and the misleading product descriptions on Steam, except for they've added the word mobile somewhere hidden in between in the second paragraph of the second sentence of the description, mentioned it's a mobile game. No, actually, they don't even say this is a port of a mobile game. They just say, oh, utilizes tracks from the mobile game. Well, but anyway, the damage is done, and oh yay, they're offering refunds, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. Should not have happened in the first place. It only seems like they're doing so because they got caught. My opinion, my thoughts on the matter, but that was a follow-up from that story. Another follow-up, and a problem with, recording YouTube videos and then having to wait for them to render and process and upload in no particular order, is that sometimes news changes by the time the video goes up. Talking about Twitch, I mentioned that there was an export function. They touted, an export function in the new video manager. And I was like, oh, is that going to be like an export to disk, like export to your own hard drive? No. I actually had time to include a snarky yellow text about this in the last episode, but in looking at it, the export function is nothing new. It's the same old export function that they always had that was always quite glitchy, and the problem I personally have with it is exporting directly to YouTube is that you can't edit it. A lot of times I like to edit it, I like to cut out times I take breaks, and sure, YouTube has a built-in editor, but it is clunky and unusable at best. And, boop, screenshot. Picture time, picture time. Oh, well, that's kind of a terrible place for you to be sitting. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Woof, Wolfie likes that picture. All right. Sorry, I'm a tourist. What was I saying? So yeah, the exporter is just the same old stupid exporter, except now it doesn't split your video up into 30-minute chunks. Now it's up to 4-hour live streams can be exported all as a single chunk, I suppose. That's the only thing that's changed. And instantly, on that day, on Wednesday, when they released the news that it was, they revamped the video manager, they had to take down the system because their system was overtaxed by all the people exporting in panic that they were going to lose their past broadcasts. They were all exporting their broadcast to YouTube, so they had to shut it down for a while. But the second and more important piece of news is, in addition to in the morning they released the news and blog post and press release about no longer holding on to broadcasts indefinitely and the highlights and stuff like that. They later in the day released a little snippet of news they maybe hope to sneak under the radar, is that in addition to those video managers and past broadcasts, they are implementing a Content ID-like audio recognition copyright enforcement system with some third party, a third party, I forgot the name of the third party already, but anyway, there's a third party system that is pretty much like Content ID, except in Twitch's case, only for audio and only for past broadcasts, saved broadcasts and clips, not for live broadcast yet. But for past broadcasts, it's passed through a filter, and it is robotically recognized whether or not you have copywritten music either playing in the background or even in-game. Like if you play GTA, there's obviously soundtracks and in-game audio that is popular music that is owned via copyright. There's no telling, which way about that. And this was met with an uproar, I say, and it's interesting and also somewhat ironic. Hello, other wolf. How are you? Wolf. All right, you're doing good. Where's Wolfie? Does Wolfie not want to meet this other wolf? Wolfie! There we go. Yes? No? Maybe? Whoa. Okay. Well, I'm trying to take pictures for the road ahead, but yeah, they basically implemented this, and already, instantaneously, there were problems, even with Twitch's own channel. Their own video archives got blocked. Actually, they don't get blocked. What they do is they mute the audio. If within a 30-minute chunk of video you have an audio that gets flagged, that 30-minute chunk gets muted, the entire thing. And one of Twitch's own archives got muted, and also like the major like gaming competition, the ones that get hundreds of thousands of live viewers at a time, those got muted because they obviously use music that perhaps they licensed themselves in order to use and broadcast. but since it matches something in this third-party matching system, it got blocked, and just a problem and an uproar about that. They actually, and again, speaking of poorly timed, hey Wolfie, good lord, poorly timed recordings of this Far Lands or Bust and releasing, just before I started recording, they've gone back and they've announced that yes, they kind of fumbled. They screwed up. They messed up. They royally screwed up the release of that information. Basically, just the rolling out of that program. And let's go to sleep and continue talking in the morning, and then we'll get to questions because it is Fan Friday. Ooh. And content ID-ness. Yeah, but they basically released another press release saying that, okay, they messed up. It was a pretty sloppy way to have released that information with no warning. It was basically with that blog post in a day that was already filled with a bunch of people panicking about losing all of their history of their past broadcasts. With other news like that, they kind of released this late in the day. It was like 4 or 5, or maybe it was about 3 or 4 that they released the news about the copyright matching system they're implementing. So they've basically gone back today and said, yes, they've messed this up. They're going to look at the system, take that with a grain of salt. I don't know how much that means. Obviously, they're probably paying big bucks to this company, who I've forgotten the name. It's one of these just strange companies you've never heard of, but all this company does is content ID-like services. Yes, there are entire companies whose sole purposes exist to match content ID style systems. There are entire services that exist just to exist within the content ID on YouTube. Entire companies who are kind of act as a middleman. Of course, if there's money being exchanged, of course somebody's going to want to stick their greedy little noses in there and try to get a piece of the pie. So yeah, there are entire companies that exist just for content ID. One of them is called AdRev, that I've had huge problems with in the past, getting false flags. And that's the problem with the Twitch system. Even though it's not a content ID system attached to YouTube yet, they do have the problem of false flags. Obviously, and Twitch has gone back, and they're in a little bit of a backpedal mode. But obviously we know it was coming. Obviously, this is, it's clear that this is all, as I posed in the last episode, this is all an effort in a running up of trying to be either more attractive to a buyout by Google, YouTube, but also to maybe these are the terms upon which the negotiations are transpiring for the Google YouTube buyout of Twitch TV. Who knows? Well, it's all signs point to yes, is what the Magic 8 Ball says. But yeah, this is very, very crazy stuff. I do like, in contrast to Content ID, the lesser of two evils here, the Twitch system. Basically, the only recourse, it seems, is it will mute the audio. If there's a match, if there is a copyright match, it will mute the audio. So there's no, at least on the surface here, there's no monetary incentive for copyright holders to flag videos, as there is with the YouTube, the Content ID system. There is a monetary incentive to be gained to claim as many videos as possible, because then once you claim that video, you can claim 100% of the revenue share with that. And of course, it's also, there's an incentive on YouTube's side to claim videos. If that video or videos aren't monetized through the YouTube partnership program, well, now they can be monetized through the Content ID matching. So why would they ever want to fix the false flags? That's extra money they're earning. And also the Content ID, the copyrights, false flags, and also, as we've seen, abuses of the system. Seeing, oh, we can make money, we can just start flagging all of these random videos, and then we can place ads on them. There are companies who have indeed taken up the scammy sides of the system. YouTube, for lack of any response from them, seems holy, seems completely fine with just shrugging their shoulders and continuing on with business as usual. But I'm a salty old man when it comes to this sort of thing. So who knows? I mean, obviously, yeah, don't use copywritten music in your live streams and obviously now your archives if you don't have direct permission. But it is throwing the baby out with the bathwater in that all of the fact that there is the ability and the possibility and the inevitability of false flags, of abuses of the system, and the whole you're guilty until proven innocent way that these systems work is a huge negative overall, and just should not be. But I guess we'll see how this story develops, and maybe we'll have further follow-ups in further episodes of Far Lands or Bust. But today, let's get to some questions from donors over at over at farlandsbust.com, donors to Child's Play charity. This one from Grumpy Old Man. Speaking of salty, grumpy old men, Grumpy Old Man donates a lot and asks a lot of questions. But Grumpy Old Man asks, that was meant in the most endearing way, asks, have you ever considered putting up soundproofing in your office to avoid the garage door noises? I don't believe any amount of soundproofing would help the garage door noises because they come from beneath. They come from the bowels of the earth. They come from underneath me. My office is literally... Oh, careful there, Kyle. My office is literally above a garage. This is just the way these structures have been made. The garages are beneath a room in each of the units. So unless I am to walk upon the soft jelly embrace of the eggshell style soundproofing on my floors, I don't believe there is any way possible to mute that. No way possible. Soundproofing in general, I've considered it. I don't think I have that much of a problem. I mean, I'm sure if I compared my audio to that of professional recording studios, I'm sure there's an easy noticeable difference there. But yeah, I don't know that I have a problem with soundproofing. I am in a couple days here going to rearrange my office. Wow, this is kind of cool. It's a mouth. Oh, there's an even opening right there. Neat. The mouth of the Cyclops, the crying Cyclops, is what that is all about. Am I right? Screenshot. I'm taking all these screenshots, by the way, all of a sudden, because one of the thank yous, one of the levels of thank yous for patrons on my Patreon is to get a digital postcard, a custom and personalized postcard, taken on the journey, on the way to the Far Lands. Pink sheep. Pink. Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, the pink sheep of gravity has forsaken us all. Wolfie, stay up there. I know you're not going to stay up there. Alright, let's get out of here. What the heck, man? Alright, here we go. Beep, bop, boop. There's an epidemic of peep sheep, pink sheep lately. An epidemic, I say. Did you take some damage from that? I know you took some damage from leaves earlier, so let's do that. Wow, what is pink sheep and pink pigs and what is up with you guys? Crazy. Yeah, they're like everywhere, and here we are once again. Like any good experiment, we have repeatable results. Whenever a pink sheep is underneath a shaded area, the top parts of its wool go completely pink. Science! Science, everybody. Hey, guy, don't push Wolfie around. You know what's going to happen now that you've done that? I will show you to your friend what's going to happen. It's going to get Wolfified. Boosh. And now it will happen to you, sir. Now it will happen to you. Oh, I was about to say, Wolfie has spared your life, but no. That was just a little bit of a fake out. When did I take half a... Oh, probably when I fell. Ha 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 ha. Excuse me, sir. That's interesting. Wow, yeah, we've had that. A pink sheep 2 episodes in a row. The end times are upon us. But, yeah, soundproofing? Yeah, I'm gonna rearrange my room in a few days, so maybe we'll see a difference in echo or anything like that. I did choose this microphone based on the fact that it is an unpowered dynamic microphone as opposed to a condenser microphone. Condensers tend to be a little bit more sensitive and have a much wider circle of audio pickup. With these, you have to be pretty close. You have to be pretty close to the microphone. Ooh. You have to be pretty close to the microphone, and it tends to not pick up echoes or that much. You know, it's a pretty specific directional. That is not the crafting bench. In terms of the directional, if you're aware any way of how microphones work. The directional, the omnidirectional, it's not omnidirectional, it's positionally directional. Well, before we go on a boat ride, I guess I'm gonna set up an elevated hidey hole here. And the boat will just slowly drift away thanks to Wolfie. So yeah, no immediate plans for soundproofing. It's because I don't feel it's completely necessary at this point. Especially also just considering my competition, if you look at a lot of other Let's Players out there, even really popular ones, the audio fidelity and quality is generally not on the top of the list of certain Let's Players, but it's pretty high on mine. That's why I've spared no expense with the equipment I do have. I've spared a few expenses, obviously. I haven't paid any money for soundproofing, but I do care quite a bit about audio fidelity in the microphone and whatnot, but not to the point of hanging up soundproofing stuff. Not quite yet. That is next level stuff. But let's go to sleep and continue to the next day in the morning. And pink sheepness. Pink sheep overloadness is what we're experiencing here. What are those guys? The next question from Grumpy Old Man. Did your family ever go on road trips when you were a kid? If so, what memories have you of these? Yeah, we only ever did go on road trips. I didn't fly in my first plane until we went to the East Coast when I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. Vacations prior to then, summer vacations, were all road trips. And they were all, to some extent, somewhat of the educational variety. We went on educational road trips. Well, I suppose, you know, we went to Wisconsin Dells a few times. That's not too far. We went, I think the furthest road trip we went was South Dakota. Drove from Chicago to South Dakota through Iowa. The most interesting landscapes, you know, all through northern Illinois and Iowa. the most interesting landscapes. Corn for as far as the eye can see. Stopped by the Field of Dreams. And then went on to the Badlands and Mount Rushmore and whatnot. But yeah, they were pretty much all road trips. Went down to Springfield, Illinois once. Did the whole historical tour of... Whoa, what's that blue thing that was down there? A zombie. A zombie is the blue thing that's down there. Yeah, Springfield, Illinois, which is where Lincoln and the Lincoln Tomb and Memorial and... well, not the Lincoln Memorial, that's in Washington, D.C., but, you know, the whole Lincoln thing is going on down in Springfield. That was kind of a long road trip. Went to... was it Cleveland? Yeah, Cleveland. Did Cedar Point and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and yeah, a lot of road trips in that regard. We at one point did the whole, I think we went all the way around, up through Michigan, but then around the Upper Peninsula and across the Mackinac Bridge, and came down. Then Wisconsin was another road trip we did. I don't remember that much. I don't remember that much about my early childhood to be able to fully give a rundown or any specific memories about that. And yeah, that's just that is something I'm afflicted with. If forgetting things was a superpower, that would be I would be Dr. Forgetful. Dr. Short-Term Memory. Even short-term memory is pretty crappy in my brain. But yeah, thank you for that donation and that question. Somebody asked something about that short-term memory stuff. Where is it? Oh, in episode 380 from ADF. In episode 380, you mention not remembering childhood events. Perhaps this is an introvert-specific trait. I myself, as an introvert, also have been dumbfounded when not being able to remember specific events. Perhaps it is. Perhaps it isn't. I don't know. That might just be confirmation bias, but I don't know. When you're more of an inward thinker, more of somebody who experiences things on an internal scale, perhaps the external events don't find a place in your brain too easily. So I don't know. Maybe that's something. I don't know. Perhaps if you have heard of or have any references to any specific sociological, psychological studies regarding that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have anything to say about that, but perhaps. Yeah, let's blame it on that. Blame it on the brain. Good recovery, Kurt. Well done. I've got a question from Yari. How do you feel about sand? Sand, you say? Sand is alright. Sand ain't too bad. You can make glass out of sand. That's about it, though. In real life, I'm okay with sand. I'm not too big of a beach goer, but sand is alright. I like the desert. My favorite sand in the world, if you're asking, which you didn't, is that which was at, what was it called? White Sands. Whoa! Speaking of sand, White Sands, New Mexico. Awesome. Just, it's, I forgot what specifically the geological process that caused it to exist. It's kind of in between two mountain ranges on the southern-ish parts of New Mexico. It's just this area of white sand. Something about the groundwater or also some sort of volcanic activity. Something about the topography of the area causes this white sand to exist. And it's just waves of white sand as far as the eye can see. Pretty amazing hiking out there, and the thing I liked about it most, aside from the fact it's basically like being on the moon. There's nothing else like it. I'm sure there's other sorts of similar phenomenon elsewhere in the world, or perhaps if you go to Antarctica or the middle of the Arctic or some other middle of the Sahara or something like that, where there's no sorts of signs of civilization or life as far as the eye can see. I'm sure that could be explained as being on the surface of the moon, but just the fact that it's just all this white sand is all you see, and also the fact that there's no... Speaking of... Oh, careful, Wolfie. Segue. Speaking of soundproofing, it's completely silent. There is absolutely no echoes at all, and it is due to the fact that the sand absorbs all of the sound. And you know, you normally when you talk, well, when I'm talking into my microphone here, I have the loop go back into my headphones so I can hear my voice. But normally when you talk, even in a room or even outside, really the way that people speak and learn how to speak is by hearing their own voice back in their ears. You can't do that in White Sands. You basically talk and it's silence, and it's kind of crazy because you could have a conversation with somebody that's like 200 yards away on the hilltop of some other sand dune at a normal talking voice, simply because there's nothing, no echoes, no external sound impeding your ability to do so. But it's just, it really just adds to the kind of creepy, otherworldly nature of it. And yeah, that's has nothing to do with a beach or anything, but that sand is perhaps my favorite sand. My favorite sand in the world, so far anyway. And yeah, there are some paths that are like boardwalk and are kind of safe, but there's one path in particular in the deepest part of the park that is just marked by little sticks in the ground, pretty much, little markers in the ground. And when you go on that path, when you're going to go hiking on that path, you have to sign in at the trailhead and then you have to sign out when you leave because the rangers at closing time come to check to make sure everybody has signed out who signed in. Otherwise, there might be some bodies that need collecting out there, and the fact that the sands actually do move like waves and change thanks to the wind means that the path flagpoles, the posts, the markers, need to be changed every now and again because sometimes they'll get covered up. You know, at one point they might be on the crest of a sand dune, and the next time they'll be on the ground because that sand dune has moved 20 feet to the left or whatever. So pretty crazy stuff. Just an excellent place to be. It's kind of hard to get to. It's not necessarily near anywhere. I think it's like 3 or 4 hours from. Where's it from? What's the main city? In Albuquerque. So it's not terribly close, but what is it? Down kind of in between, a little bit east of Las Cruces. Is that the name of the southern town of New Mexico? I think so. I only drove through. I didn't stay there, but oh, hello. In your face, workbench. In my face, workbench is actually what that workbench is doing. So yeah, thank you. I'm sure you didn't expect that entire conversation to be had about sand, Yari, but I appreciate the question and your donation. We've got another question here from Larson. Most interesting planet in the solar system? I suppose I've answered this before, but I suppose if you're ignoring Earth, simply because from an external perspective, if you were to look at all the planets, the planet with the oceans and the plant life and the intelligent life and the whales and the bees and the birds and the clouds and the atmosphere of breathable oxygen would probably be the most interesting one. You know, the one where the certain species of creatures have ventured out and stepped foot on its moon and has all these other things emanating. You know, the source of all these little robots and space probes are all this planet Earth. Earth would probably be the most interesting. But as far as planet, most interesting, the way I answered this before, is most interesting easily from an astronomical standpoint, simply to look at with a telescope, would be Saturn. Saturn is a blow your mind type of thing when you look through the eyepiece for the first time and see Saturn and the rings and the shadow from the rings and just the depth, you know, really, ow! Well, there goes the rest of that heart. Really stops you in your tracks. Most interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. Well, I guess we're making a severely subterranean hidey hole today because I couldn't find a mountainside to dig into. But let's do that. Let's have Wolfie. Oh gosh, I'm just planting torches everywhere. Torch Tuesday. We're Torch Friday. We're doing this, but yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of like them all. I think some of the moons are more interesting than the planets themselves. Because yeah, Saturn is interesting and just really awesome to look at, but generally speaking, you know, because it's a gas planet, really doesn't have much to offer as far as exploration-wise, but its moons, Titan, Enceladus, and of course the moons of Jupiter as well, Europa, and Ganymede are planets in and of themselves. A cool not planet that's going to be explored next year is when, whoops, that's not what I wanted, is when Ceres gets explored finally by the Rosetta spacecraft, I believe. No, Rosetta is the one that's at the comet right now, which is from ESA. I might have misspoken and said that's from NASA, but no, that's the European Space Agency. What's the spacecraft that is going to Ceres? It just left Vesta. This is in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, but it's going to go to Ceres, and it's been theorized, based on data you get from spectrometry and whatnot, that Ceres, which is a spherical dwarf planet in between Mars and Jupiter, might have more water in frozen form, might have more water on Ceres than there is in all the oceans of the Earth. So that'd be pretty crazy. So that's going to be reached next year, 2015, by Dawn, the Dawn spacecraft. Thank you. You're welcome. Brain. Speaking of memory loss. So yeah, the Dawn spacecraft is going to reach Ceres. So that's going to be very interesting to see indeed also. It could be like a much closer Europa that we can go explore for all we know. But anyway, thank you everybody for all your questions. Hope you enjoyed episode 389 of Far Lands or Busts. I hope you guys have a good weekend as well. I got another question. Here from Aaron09. I enjoy watching your co-ops. Are there any plans for a new series? Not particularly with Beef and Formula 1. That was what he was referencing. But there is a new series tonight that you might be interested in seeing after this episode goes up in a few hours. I'm joining 2 fellow Mindcrackers for a game that I played before with other Mindcrackers that involves running speedily. So look forward to that, and thank you so much for watching this episode of Far Lands or Bust. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. Pink sheep. Pink. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh.